My field is conflict, looking at why humans treat each other so violently. We've always known that this violence comes from the urge humans feel to control and dominate one another. But only recently have we studied this phenomena from the inside, the point of view of the individual's consciousness. We have asked what happens inside a human being that makes him want to control someone else. We have found that when an individual walks up to another person and engages in a conversation, which happens billions of times each day in the world, one of two things can happen: that an individual can come away feeling strong or feeling weak, depending on what occurs in the interaction. For this reason, we humans always seem to take a manipulative posture. No matter what the particulars of the situation or the subject matter, we prepare ourselves to say whatever we must in order to prevail in the conversation. Each of us seeks to find some way to control and thus to remain on top in the encounter. If we are successful, if our viewpoint prevails, then rather than feel weak, we receive a psychological boost. In other words, we humans seek to outwit and control each other, not just because of some tangible goal in the outside world that we're trying to achieve, but because of a lift we get psychologically. That is the reason we see so many irrational conflicts in the world, both at the individual level and at the level of nations. The consensus in my field is that this whole matter is now emerging into public consciousness. We humans are realizing how much we manipulate each other, and consequently, we are reevaluating our motivations. We're looking for another way to interact. I think this reevaluation will be part of the new worldview that the manuscript speaks of. What manuscript is that, you ask? Well, you, my esteemed viewer, you may have heard of this work called the Celestine Prophecy. So, and the material that I read from was from the Celestine Prophecy. But I want to talk about control dramas and follow up on the material that I just read from, and go into that a little bit deeper as far as how exactly it is that humans are, what the conversation ploys that we engage in, and how we manipulate, our way through either boosting our energy or coming away feeling lessened somehow. So anyway, the four control dramas, Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. Among the many great ideas in this book is the concept that we have ways of stealing energy from each other. And when you realize that everything is energy, at a quantum level, certainly everything is energy. Once we get past the limitations of our five senses and we comprehend and begin to operate from that awareness that everything is energy. This will sort of begin to make that kind of lofty, those kind of almost esoteric, very kind of like philosophical, how does this apply to our individual daily life, going through life? And this is what the control dramas relate to, and how we steal energy based on these personality constructs. So there are four control dramas: the Intimidator, the Interrogator, the Aloof, and Poor Me. The most aggressive one is the Intimidator, who steals energy from other people by dominating them and making them feel inferior, either with physical or verbal aggression. So the intimidator gets to feel better and the other people feel worse. This is similar to being aggressive, which we've talked about already. So next is the interrogator, who gets to feel good by asking questions that are borderline aggressive. Certainly they're aimed at making the other person feel small so that the interrogator can feel superior to them. Questions like, have you thought about going on a diet? Why don't you do that differently? And why are you so hopeless? And come on, talk to me. Are not nice questions, are they? And questions like, you know why that happened, don't you? Are tricky because they, whatever you say, they are going to say, oh, no, you missed the point. That's the interrogator. Then there's the aloof, which is a common response to an interrogator parent or an interrogator partner. The aloof copes with other people by acting distant and hiding what they really think, and either not answering at all or answering evasively, maybe with short non-committal answers like maybe, I don't know really. They might drop vague hints, which in turn may mean that you ask even more questions in order to engage with them. You can imagine how an aloof person could use this as a defensive strategy, but also you can see how the aloof will encourage others to interrogate them to try to find out. Yes, it's a little energy dance. Interestingly, my dad is aloof. And so we got, finally, there's the fourth way to control others, and that's the poor me, the victim mentality, as I like to call it. These people take the victim position, saying their life is awful and it's all unfair, and they use guilt, pity, manipulate you. So do you tend towards one of the four control dramas? So anyway, this is all kind of in response to a question somebody had submitted to me on like one of my YouTube video I posted, you know, asking me what my opinion was on this certain system. You know, man, what literally the Tao, if you understand Taoism, like Lao Tzu, the Tao Te Ching, the way, words and the discerning intellect are just tools, you know, and so really to get into a discussion, you know, I am a very evasive, so I'm the aloof sort of control drama, if you will, because it's I mean, you know, short of just common sense sort of discussion among things, you know, really getting into deep philosophical or what's right, what's wrong, you know, I don't dig that, I don't get into it. It's your, whatever is your deal, what works for you. I think we can recognize all of us, you know, at some point can agree with things that are negative for a person. If you know, what is healthy for or unhealthy for an individual. So, but it's all energy. Everything is energy, and either something is sucking your energy away, and it's you're run down day by day, and or you're a self-sufficient energy generator. You know, your quantum field is intact, and you know, mine wasn't, not last year, like, you know, August, even August of last year, the beginning of August, I talk about my ascension journey, literally kicked in overdrive and began August 11th of 2021, which culminated around September, in September 25th, 24th, 25th of 2021, where my Kundalini energies just unveiled. Like that's my awakening, my ascension. In my control matrix, in my beliefs, and you know, so this is very personal to me, but I'm sharing it because, you know, that's really that's really the only thing that I have to go on. You know, I mean, we could talk about systems, this, and, you know, all kinds of, anyway, well, Celestine prophecy, but I don't want to get too far away from the four control dramas and how everything is energy, how everything is energy, how, you know, to be mindful of your energy. You know, I believe that my ascension culminated roughly September 24th, 25th, where I harvested my own energies and my Kundalini awakened. It was explosively powerful. I can't even begin to describe. It tore me apart and culminated I'm talking about energy-wise. It just was a flush of energy that culminated, and I was immobilized with my crown chakra, and violet, violet laser flowers. All I can explain it was what all was my vision. And and if you understand, if you know anything about what Kundalini awakening comprises, what it involves, who I believe my guru is Sadhguru, and he says there's three avenues to Kundalini awakening. There's where you're carefully monitored in a very structured sort of learning environment, yoga practice. There's that type of way to make that leap to the final chakra, the final crown chakra, opening and activating, and then on up into the galactic chakra, and all that stuff. If you're not prepared for it, or it can you have to be crazy to make the leap of faith that involves that last jump. But the point is all that is very personal to me, and in within the Kundalini yoga, there are very, very, very close similarities to what I experienced that can be explained within that system of yoga. How I arrived there and how it all came about for me is very personal. The ascension of your energies, your spiritual energies from your survival root chakras, from your reptilian brain orientation to the higher chakras and on below to where you're operating with fifth dimensional awareness. That's what the 3D, that's what the third density and all that, the law of one, unity conscious, all that is easily, within my experience, identifiable within those systems. But still, it's very personal to me, and I share that. And I also just want to share that I'm very reluctant to try to comment on what somebody else, whatever their system is, what they've gone through. If it's worked for you, great. But I think that at the end of the day, we know we can recognize someone who's still ensnared in third dimension, in that survival reptilian mode. And if you have a system that has allowed you to transcend that and be objective and extricate your energies from that rat race, that survival, that reptilian, and you have your energies and your frequencies have been expanded and elevated and increased to the higher frequency of love, unity, consciousness. However you got there, then you got there. There's no need to debate it, to talk about it. You've given your power over to somebody or what. I think it's very clear whether you are operating as a self-empowered, as an autonomous individual who is in full capacity, full control of your energies, and your will is sacrosanct. You're not beholden to any system or anybody else. Anybody doesn't have power plays. They're not using the interrogator personality control drama, or I think all that's clear. So it's all good, right? And that's really, it's all about energy. Everything is energy. Do you feel that you're in a negative energy environment? You're being controlled, that whatever you gave your power, that's up to you, my brothers and sisters. But it's all very individual. It's all very personalized. But the end results, I think, what fruit that tree has borne is where you derive your value, and that's where I personally believe the fruit that the tree has borne. Does it taste sweet, or is it bitter, reptilian, chitari, negative reptilian little chitari snack bites? Anyway, namaste, namaskaram.